Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. Before we get into the video, I want to do an advert. Now, I want to say a big thank you to today's sponsor, Match Bingo. Over 200 grand has been paid out to players so far by taking sports betting, football, and bingo and combining them into one amazing app. They will have bingo cards available throughout the championship season. You can get your bingo cards for any Leicester City game in this upcoming season. Make sure to do that. The QR code is here on screen or the link is in the description. Make sure to check out Match Bingo using the Blue Tinted Glasses link. Let's get in to the live stream. Good afternoon and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses for another transfer, latest news, rumours, stream, whatever you want to call it. Of course, I'm joined by my good friend, Duck Quack Quack. What's going on, mate? How are you?
I'm doing good. Great show yesterday. Good fun. A lot of, I don't want to say a heated debate. Probably was pretty heated between me and many. Some takes being debunked and, some stories being told. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talk some transfers. Not that much has happened on our side, but I've seen other championship clubs, make some pretty big moves.
Yes, mate. Yeah, there has been movement, and all we get is rumors, which is a shame. Hopefully, we'll actually get concrete stuff very, very, very soon. But for now, we're going to go with the rumors. That's all we can do. And I want to start. By the way, everybody in the chat, please get your comments in. I can see some flying in, so keep getting them in. Let's start with this one, Doc. So there were rumors the other day, mate, that Coady, this transfer saga between Coady and Rangers, which has been going on for weeks now already. There was rumors the other day that he had asked the club if he could stay in the UK, not go to Austria, so he could get this deal done. If those rumors were true or not, we don't know, but he has gone to Austria. I don't know about you, mate. I think Coady wants to leave. I think the fans want him to leave. I just want this one done and dusted, mate. Even if it's 2 million quid, a couple million, whatever it's going to be.
It's the wages as well. I mean, it's one of these where it's best for both parties, right? I mean, he didn't do much for us last time in the championship. He did come in towards the end of the season and tidied up the defense a bit. He has paid quite a lot this season, but again, get him out, save the money, save up a bit as well. And he can enjoy a few nice years playing some Champions League football with Rangers, or they probably won't qualify like Europa League maybe. And yeah, best for both parties. I feel like it's one of the things where we've been a bit poor recently, right? Even when there have been concrete links, think back to Daniel Iversen, right? It was clear we weren't going to use him. There were concrete links. Preston North End were interested. They made an offer, and we said no. We'd rather keep him for squad depth, and he never played a game for us. So, yeah.
I totally agree, mate. I mean, we've heard all along it was going to be a cut price deal. Again, I honestly think that we just need to get it done, get the wages off the books. Let's see what some people are saying here. So have a good that was yesterday. Here we go. 200 grand. No, Brigham says new kit to be dropped before our next match. You'd hope so.
I'm seeing Adidas club starts releasing their kit as well, right? There was this Club World Cup things delaying things, and I do think that was true because a lot of clubs were later. Copenhagen as well was later with theirs, but basically every club have got their new kit by now, so it'd be a bit embarrassing if we don't get it out there soon.
Totally agree, mate. Totally agree. And we heard rumors that the delay was the sponsor. Well, we now know the sponsor's sorted. It's KBet. We've even seen it printed on the shirt itself, so you would hope it would be announced. I mean, even if they can't get it out for sale yet, Duck, at least reveal it. At least announce it. That's the frustrating part. Good afternoon, Kunal. Good morning to you, Dallas Foxes, mate. We're waiting for the Tom Collomosse. I think it has dropped. And it is free. It's not behind a paywall this time.
I can find it.
We'll share some stuff shortly. Ndidi isn't the player he used to be. Yeah, we're going to talk about Ndidi very, very, very soon. So that's fun. Also, Ryan, I mean, let's just bring this up now. We've taken out another loan from Australian bank Macquarie. The loan is secured against Premier League funds owed to us until June 2028. I'm guessing, does that mean, Doc, that basically it's against parachute payments then? Because
I'd assume so, right? So that should be the parachute payments. I don't think Macquarie Bank would allow us to take out future Premier League revenue when we don't know if we'll be in the Premier League, right? So I think these loans, I want to say they don't mean much. Obviously, they mean we have the money up front now to make the moves required for the summer. Obviously, we'll need to sell some assets as well, but But yeah, this is pretty standard behavior. I believe we did it last time when we went up as well against the Dewsbury Hall revenue, so we could spend a bit in that summer window. We did it with Fofana when we sold him, so we could buy out fast and spend money in the January transfer window. We still got relegated, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's a good sign that things are happening behind the scenes, and hopefully soon, some of these rumors will be from interested to actually, getting them over the line.
Yeah. Okay. What we're going to do next is I'm going to bring up, before we get into the other players, I'm going to bring up the article. So let's do that from Tom Collomosse. So hopefully this shares okay. There we go. We got that. Okay. So let me just change that camera to there. Okay, cool. So this is the article from Tom Collomosse. Obviously, there's a lot of filler here as well, so it's not all relevant. The Spaniard has so talking about Martí Cifuentes. He has an impressive track record of working with young players and will try to build his Leicester team around the best of them: Ben Nelson, Casey McAteer, Jeremy Monga. So yeah, there's a photo of Monga.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get further down here. So Cifuentes is also excited to work with Abdul Fatawi, who sustained a serious knee injury last autumn, just when he was finding his stride. He will also look closely at Jake Evans, who made his debut in the Premier League, and Lewis Page, who has looked sharp in the early part of pre-season. He will need some experience too, though who Leicester keep is not entirely in his control, as the club need to sell to generate transfer funds. A word on Page, the 17-year-old has 2 years of a scholar's contract to run, and Leicester are relaxed about the situation. Keeping Monga is easily the brightest news of a dire year for the club, and prove they are prepared to give a chance to youngsters. There are transfer priorities, though they will not be easy to realise, with Leicester targeting a striker, a left-sided midfielder, and a number 6, as well as a goalkeeper if Mads Hermansen depart. So what do you make to this, Duck? A striker, a left-sided midfielder, and a number 6. I think they... I mean, yeah, the striker and number 6 to me makes sense, I think. But go on, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the striker is the first one who will come through the door. If anything less, unless it's a backup goalkeeper and Hamilton is sold, I'd be very disappointed because it's the one position really that screams for a new signing. What this does also hint at, though, saying both the left-sided midfielder and number 6 does leave the door open for quite a few midfielders leaving, because I do feel like we've got, I want to say, okay depth. We did just loan out Henry Cartwright, so Ndidi sounds likely to be gone, right? He's one of the number 6s. He's not the left-sided midfielder, normally plays on the right side, if I recall correctly. Maybe, I think Harry Winks, from the looks of things, should have a big future under Martí Cifuentes. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. It does, though, to me, tell that there is likely to be some ongoings in the midfield department, and we could do with one more big signing in that area if we sell one or two of those we already have. Because Ndidi, I think we all expect him to be gone with the release clause, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a comment there. There's a bit here about Bilal El Khannouss. So he was one of Leicester's most eye-catching players last term, despite the relegation. The fee is the sticking point. However, Leicester paid about 20 million for the 21-year-old and would want a substantial return on their investment if he is to be sold. So Mail Sport understands no club has proposed anything close to the Fox's valuation. So the thing with El Khannouss is that there was rumours earlier on, just after we were relegated, that there was a release clause. Everything since then has suggested there isn't a release clause. So we don't know for sure. I always get people messaging me saying, does he have a release clause or not? I don't know. It's unclear. It's unclear at this stage. But this would make sense. I mean, we've seen rumors of 25 million. There was rumors of a release clause of 21 million. We don't know. But Leicester, according to Tom Collomosse, would want a substantial return on their investment. So that would suggest there is no release clause in his deal. We're going to come back to El Khannouss a little bit later. But it does say here, one option to be considered is a year's loan with an obligation to buy. El Khannouss signed a 4-year deal, meaning his book value is now about 15 million. If he played well on loan in the Premier League for a season, his price would increase greatly in 12 months' time, and a reduced book value would generate higher profit. For me, Duck, loan option to buy, absolute no. Do not do this.
The thing is, right, he seemed like he's been taken in well by the fans. There's no doubt about that. We all are, think he was one of those who contributed most. We all believe and know he will have a wonderful championship season if he stays. He's on low wage as well, so there's no urgency to sell, right? He's not the big part of the wage bill. So I think unless he forces a move or the right offer comes in, he'll stay. He'll have a worldly season, and I think it could be the decisive factor in us going up.
Yeah. He goes on to say who else could leave. Ndidi. So they're yet to receive a firm bid for Ndidi, even though there have been inquiries. The 28-year-old would be allowed to depart, as would goalkeeper Hermansen. The Dane was courted by Chelsea last summer, as we know, and an offer of about £40 million was proposed, although never formally submitted. Enzo Maresca is a huge fan of Hermansen and bought him to Leicester. Chelsea already have 4 goalkeepers. And Sanchez improved his standing with some strong displays at the Club World Cup. The goalkeeper market is difficult. Just ask Villa, who have been prepared to sell Martinez all summer but have yet to receive a serious bid. Keep an eye on West Ham, though, who have just appointed Hermansen's fellow Dane, Kasper Ankergren, as goalkeeping coach. Victor Christiansen, meanwhile, has interest in Serie A, where he helped Bologna reach the Champions League in 23-24. Am I right? Am I right to say as well, by the way, that this goalkeeper coach was at Bromby?
He was at Bromby.
Hermansen.
I believe they worked together then. I don't know Bromby's backroom staff, but it would suggest that they've worked together. It's not many years ago, right? So I think it's likely they did work together. I'm not 100% though.
Don't worry, guys. We're going to come back to some of these players shortly. So, what about the high earners? So they need surgery in the squad. Connor Coady, subject of an approach from Rangers 2 weeks ago, but that has yet to be followed up officially. That's not a good sign for us. We want him gone. Rangers' interest remains, and unless Cifuentes is counting on him, the deal could still go ahead. Then there is Yannick Vestergaard, Harry Winks, Jordan Ayew, James Justin, Oliver Skipp, Bobby Reid, and others on substantial wages. Earlier this summer, Vestergaard was thought to be willing to reach a settlement. Earlier this summer, Vestergaard was thought to be willing to reach a settlement on the remaining 2 years of his contract, though such arrangements are easier said than done. And the Dane has subsequently said he is open to staying. So maybe there was talk of his contract being cancelled, terminated, obviously with a settlement, but that doesn't seem to be going anywhere at the moment. There has been scant interest in Justin, who looks a shadow of the player who was capped by England in June 2022. Last couple bits here. So what led Leicester to Cifuentes? So Tom Collomosse says, Top flew to London earlier this month to conduct interviews. There was a school of thought at Leicester that an experienced boss was needed, with Chris Wilder a strong contender. Yet Cifuentes won the day with an impressive interview and presentation, as we always talk about, as well as a similar approach of that Maresca, who'd led Leicester to promotion a year ago. Intriguingly, the Foxes believe Cifuentes shows more tactical flexibility than the Italian, who came under fire from some supporters for his rigid philosophy. Mail Sport can also reveal that the compensation paid to QPR for Cifuentes was in fact considerably less than the reported 500 grand. Leicester believe the Spaniard has the personality to unite a notoriously difficult dressing room with a broad age range. His connections to Nordic football could also prove crucial in what remains of the window. A side note on the manager search: even though Danny Roll was has a firm admirer at Leicester in technical director Martin Glover, it is understood that Sheffield Wednesday boss was not interviewed for the role.
Okay.
A compensation issue, perhaps. And then finally, what about the points deductions? When Leicester were charged for breaking Premier League spending rules earlier this year, the hope on both sides was there would be a verdict before the start of the Championship campaign. With less than a month until the action begins, there is a frustrating silence on that score. It is also having an effect on recruitment. A player joining Leicester wants to know whether his chances of promotion will be hold below the waterline from day one. And until that picture is clear, Leicester are in a tricky position. A points deduction need not be insurmountable, though. In 2007-8, Leeds began the League One season on minus 15 points. They wiped it out by winning their first 5 games and missed out on promotion only by losing the playoff final to Doncaster the following spring. So there we go, Duck. Lots of stuff there from Tom Collomosse, as always. What do you make? Let's just start. Where do we start? Let's start with... I'll tell you where we'll start, mate. I'll tell you where we start, because we've got a few things to go through. Let's start with this guy, Bilal El Khannouss. So there's very, very light rumours here of Forest, by the way, just because of the Morgan Gibbs-White situation. They might come back for him, depending on that, on what happens with him. Sunderland apparently are interested. They seem to be buying everyone and anyone from the continent of Africa at the moment. Obviously, El Khannouss is Moroccan. The price tag there does say 21 million, but again, that was an earlier price tag based off a rumor of a release clause. But from what Tom Collomosse says, Duck, Leicester would want a substantial return. What do you make to that?
And I think that's good, right? I mean, he's not on the highest wage. He was one of our best players last season. So I don't think he'll kick up a fuss about not leaving. He might want to move, but I think in the system that's been proposed, right? Look at how Ilias Chair did under Martin Cifuentes. This would be that 5 times better. I think he knows he could be a brilliant player in the championship. One of the things that will be, I think, in all of these players' minds, if they're in and around their national team squad, is the World Cup coming up next year, and they want to put themselves in a position to play and be picked. So I think for El Khannouss, if he can be picked for the national team with Morocco, despite playing in the championship, which I believe he would, if he's balling out, essentially winning Leicester 3 points every weekend, I don't think he would force a move. And if the right offer doesn't come in, we don't have to sell. I mean, he would be so good in the championship.
Yeah. Danke says the obvious that he will have AFCON as well in January. He'll be interested. It will be interesting to see what happens with Sunderland, by the way, because they have signed a lot of African players in January. If they did all bugger off, Doc, to AFCON, they could be in the mud a little bit, to be honest. They'll just be stuck with their championship squad. But yeah, I mean, Frankie says here Forest can pay 60 million once they get that for Morgan Gibbs White. If we want to keep El Khannouss, Winks has to be one of the big earners to go. Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest with you, Doc, with El Khannouss, I feel like we could have a similar situation to what happened with Dewsbury Hall and Harvey Barnes, where the club might look at the situation and say, you know what, he needs to go for PSR reasons. They could sell El Khannouss and bring in 3 players with that money.
Yeah, but we need that, right? Would one El Khannouss not be better? I think, yeah. I mean, I don't think we have to sell. We don't know the financial picture, right? There's still a while before we even see how this Premier League accounts have turned out for us. But how the board has acted, obviously we'll need to sell before we buy, which is good. We need to trim out the squad a bit. But I think someone like Mads Hermansen, I love Hermansen. I think he was one of the best keepers in the league for the first half of the season until he got injured in the Premier League. And I think he's got a great future as Denmark #1. But Stalacic is from our academy, quite clearly loves to be here, and he deserves some first team minutes. Like that's the reason I'm so confident in we can sell Hermansen. We can accept the 25 million euro bid, especially because we bought him so much cheaper, so the profit will be so much higher. The profit won't be, groundbreaking if we sell El Khannouss for 25 million because we paid 20 for him. Where it would be different with some of the other players. I think someone like VK, it's clear he's not a good fit here. Sell him. Connor Coady, of course, some of the big earners, if we could get them off the book, would be brilliant. I'm open to keeping Ayew, to be honest. He's got 1 more year left. He can supply in the striker position, and we are so out of depth in the striker position, and we could need a hold-up man who could stick his bum out every now and then. So I'm not against it, but obviously I'd prefer someone else, right? Yeah, he's a bum merchant. But, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Wilf. This guy definitely has the most interest at the moment from reports. Earlier in the window, Everton and Man United were linked. Juventus as well. And in the last couple days, mate, Hoffenheim are interested. Now, they're actually selling one of their players to Leeds United. Is it Starch or Stack or Antonio Stack, something like that. Anyway, let me just check his name.
I believe, I know who you're talking about. That's the big thing, and I think
Anton Stack, who is Anton Stack plays for Hoffenheim, defensive midfielder. He's looking likely to go to Leeds United. They need a replacement, and Wilfred Ndidi could be that guy. And Duck, even though this price tag of the release clause again has been a little bit unclear. The one that keeps coming up is £9 million.
Yeah, I think that's right.
9 million. That's a snip, mate. There will be someone who pays that.
Yeah, his wages are high. Get him off the books and make room, because I think, especially we've just been rumored to be interested in 2 new midfielders. I'm asking the question: where does Lewis Page fit into that equation? Right? I think obviously I'd like to see Semi Breakbrook succeed, but I don't know. He hasn't impressed me as much as Lewis Page, who is also someone who could do some convincing to sign a pro contract here, and that could be with first 2 minutes, right? So I think Skip will be impossible to get off the books. Winks has 1 year left on his deal, so will be hard because if we get an offer, it'll be such a cut price deal. But Sumare as well, completely forgot he existed. I think we need to get him off as well. Like there are some of these high earners, like Ndidi, like Sumare, who I think just needs to get gone, mate. I'm very thankful for what Ndidi has done to the club. Been a huge part of our history, but at the same time, it feels like, especially after Vardy's gone, that era is over, and we all need to look in a new direction. That includes, the last remaining ashes of our glory years, in my opinion, who I don't want that legacy to be spoiled any further by the turmoil we find ourselves in, and rather remember them in the positive light for what they've done for the club.
Yeah, mate, I totally agree with you. Remember, Clamo says we lost Vardy as well.
That's big for the wage bill. Very big.
Reportedly 7 million a year. Reportedly 7 million a year wages that have been saved on Vardy. Obviously, Colombo mentioned Samare as well. That is, I mean, the problem with Samare, Duck, is I honestly don't know who would take him. If I'm brutally honest,
I think there's a Spanish or French club who would take him. It all depends how much we want for him.
But probably another loan with option to buy. Although we've only got 1 year left, right?
So we wouldn't do that unless, like, I think, even if, to be honest, if someone took him on loan for the year and paid all his wages, I wouldn't mind that, because he's on a very big wage bill that would open up a lot of room when we're negotiating new deals. And then again, this isn't just about monetary gain for me. It's also about where is the room for the youngsters. Obviously, there'll be some experience around them, but I want Lewis Page to be convinced he should sign a pro contract here, because Marty Cifuentes lets him know he'll be a valued member of the squad. And obviously, he's 17. He's probably not expecting to start 40 games. But if he's not coming off the bench because Sumare is sitting there every week instead, it doesn't really work when he's an 80 grand a week, right? So I'd rather get those 80 grand a week and then lose him on a free, because I think we've digged ourselves in such a hole that we might have to lose some of them for free. We might have to, accept a cut price deal of 5 million for Sumare, even though we paid 20 million for him, because just get him gone. His future doesn't lie here.
Yeah, let me ask you about this one, Doc. Because I know we did the sell, loan, keep show the other day. You weren't there. We did speak about some potential loans. One loan has happened, and that's Henry Cartwright, who's gone on loan to Falkirk. Look, it's always important for these young players that aren't going to feature in the first team to go out and get some minutes, mate. So first of all, what do you make to this one? And secondly, who else do you think should follow out on loan?
I think it depends on the rest of pre-season, right? I think it's important. Maybe, let's say, Sammy Braybrook, if he doesn't have an immediate future here, right? Give him more time. Give him another loan spell. The first one failed doesn't mean he can't make it. Because I think, he's not someone who I'm currently looking at. We know his ceiling was very high. FM believes that as well. If you go back now to 24, right? And we've all seen it. When he got that debut in the EFL Cup now years ago. But sadly, maybe the injury has ruined him. I think you look at someone like Alves as well. I think Alves has looked good in the pre-season, contrary to many's opinion. But at the same time, the wingers is a position where we are bloated. We are overloaded with young talent there, and we are overloaded with overpaid earners as well. So someone will have to go. Fatab obviously has to have a space for him when he comes back from his injury. So, I think Golding as well could be someone who goes out on loan if Khannouss doesn't move, because I think Golding has a role to play if El Khannouss goes. But if El Khannouss stays, all of a sudden he'll be hogging up a lot of that game time, and I don't mind that, because he's a sellable asset too. But it would mean that some of the ones battling for that number 10 spot should maybe look for minutes elsewhere.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. I mean, there's some comments flying in about this. Alves is better centrally, says Rye. Collomosse, the return of Fatawu, that will be happening. I mean, I've been seeing him in training, linking up with the guys. There was a bit of I was concerned the other day, because in the Marty Cifuentes announcement video, or sorry, the video of him going around on the first day of training, he was not in. Don't think he was training, and he was getting a massage, and I think he looked a bit doom and gloom. So I was a little bit worried. But yeah, can I ask why we put Alves in the loan bracket? I think the reason we did this was because, weirdly, I think Monga and a couple others are actually ahead of Alves now, Doc. I don't know. Are we hyping them others too?
I think Monga is. I think Monga, maybe he was a bit overhyped before we saw him, but he's delivered on the pitch, man. At that age, just turned 16, he looks as good, if not a bit better, than Will Alves. I think Luke Alves have looked sharp in preseason too, and for me, it very much depends on if we're able to, transition some of these other players, move them along. If Dika Reed gets moved on, maybe a space open up for him. If Bilal El Khannouss moves, a space centrally could open up for him as well. If Monka moved into the 10 position, for example, which we know he prefers. If Ayew becomes the backup striker instead of playing on the wing, that opens up another spot. So it's all about this, with the puzzle pieces we have, how do they fit together? And as the window progresses, it becomes more clear that maybe Alves has a piece to play in this puzzle, or maybe we need to find him another loan, because I think he could do something for us. I'm looking forward to it. But if no one leaves in the wing up's position, I'd rather see him get a loan and more minutes than run up in the U21s.
Yeah, there's a comment here. Alves made his debut at 16, but I believe Monga has had twice the hype. I also think Monga's start as well, has been more impressive than Alves's was. But we need to remember Alves did get that ACL at 17 or 18 years old. Very unfortunate, and it has, of course, halted his development slightly. Let me bring this one up here, Doc. One of the rumors of the incomings recently, a free agent from Sheffield Wednesday who is going to be leaving due to a lack of payment. He wasn't paid, so he's going to walk away on a free. Max Lowe, I think it was Alex Crook from TalkSport who reported this the other day. For me, Doc, very, very frustrating seeing us linked to a player like Max Lowe, because I genuinely don't think we need him in the slightest. I understand he's free. I understand he's got championship experience. But I don't really understand why Leicester would look at him.
What position does he play? It says defender up there, but where in the defense?
Left back and centre back, both of them.
Left back and centre back. I mean, it depends again. It's all about how many can we get out, right? If let's say both Coady and Vestergaard leaves, then and Fast, I'd like to keep a Coady and Nelson. And then you would need some extra depth in centre back. And if you could get him on a free, plus in the case of an injury crisis, he could do a job at left back. I wouldn't be against it, but we need to sell out of clear out the 3 deadwood defenders we have, I'd say first. And then I wouldn't mind a free transfer like this to supply, because we would need that. And it obviously also depends on if we sell any left backs. We'll see. I think that rumor was before Cifuentes came in, right? So yeah.
But I understand. I was going to say, I understand the monetary thing behind it. So if you sell Victor, let's say, you bring in Max Lowe for free, and the wages will be half of Victor's wages, let's just say. But I don't think we need him. I would rather Bade Iheanacho than Max Lowe. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. But if Max Lowe plays mainly as a squad option in the centre back when O'Coley and Nelson aren't fit, and provides depth on left back, where it would then, let's just say, it ended up being Woyo Coulibaly and Bade Iheanacho playing those minutes. If an injury crisis happened, which Seagrave it likely will, I don't think it's bad, right? Because one of the things, sometimes you need to make a sideways move before you can make an upwards move, right? Let's say you take out Connor Coady and Vestergaard, and you replace him with Max Lowe, who would be combined on 1/10 the wages, and he would do just as good of a job. Not a brilliant job, because maybe he's not top-end championship, but he would do a good job for now, and he would be on a 2-year deal, and you could loan him back out to the championship. Again, we need to reduce the wage bill, and if we can reduce the wage bill and keep the squad level around the same margin, that would be great, because that could mean the wage could go in other departments on other players, or maybe turn down the wage budget a bit so we don't lose as much money and have to go to court with PSR.
Yeah. Mr. Fox says, how many of the players like JJ and Ricky P will leave on a free because we can't offer them a contract extension due to poor finance? I mean, I fully expect us to lose a couple of players, probably a few players next summer, because there's so many that are approaching the end of their contracts.
I think
go on.
Just shortly on Ricky. I think Ricky will stay this season. If he's a key man under Martin, he loves the football, and we get promoted, he signs a 1-2-year deal. If not, he leaves on a free if we don't get promoted. That's my gut feeling.
Yeah. I've just asked Jack. I just texted him. Let me bring this comment up. Jack did not say he spoke to Victor Christensen's dad. Jack said that there was a Leicester fan on Twitter who said he spoke to Victor's dad at the preseason friendly, the Peterborough game. And apparently Victor's dad told this guy that he doesn't expect Victor to leave, but it wasn't Jack who spoke to Victor's dad. I just asked. So just thought I'd clear that up quickly.
Who knows? I think things can go quickly in football. I think as well, it's important we all give the players a clean slate, right? Look at what happened with Vestergaard last time we ran down. I'm giving Luke Thomas a clean slate, even though I'm not excited when he starts the first game. But if he starts putting in real shifts every game, or let's say Jordan Ayew, because we don't sign a striker, ends up scoring a goal a game, I think it's a new season. Wipe the anger of last season frustrations clean and be open for anyone to impress if they want to be here and if they're willing to put in the hard work.
Well, the latest one this morning, mate, James Justin, talking of fullbacks. Apparently, Besiktas are interested in him. Personally, mate, I think this is probably just one of these nothing rumors. I personally, I mean, again, he came up in the keep loan sell discussion earlier in the week, and I think we put him in sell at the right price if we got like an offer in of a certain value. But I don't think we're going to get an offer worth selling JJ this summer, and I actually think JJ will be one of the players that Marty does want to keep around personally. I don't know about you.
I think so too. I think James Justin has a good season ahead of him. Contrary to popular belief, I thought he had a decent second half of the season. As soon as he wasn't exposed under the system, he, if you look at the amount of goals we conceded on the right-hand side, heavily reduced. Was he perfect? No, none of our defenders were. But yeah, versatile as well. We all love someone who can play in the left back as well. Again, if an injury crisis occurs, or if we sell both VK and Thomas and Bade Luco, not Bade Luco, but Bade Luco becomes one of the main players there, then, Justin could move to the left to assist him. And, I think he's a good piece of the puzzle. And yeah, unless someone comes in with an 15 million euro bid, I don't think we should sell him.
Talking to JJ, for some reason, in literally the last 30 seconds, I've just been followed by 2 Turkish people. So so they must be watching, talking about JJ and Besiktas. So hello to you. I don't think it will happen. I mean, there's a couple of comments here. Clemo says these championship players can't hold a candle to JJ. Come on. I mean, it was interesting because JJ at left back, which I actually think is his best position, a natural left back or a left back that gets high up the pitch. I think that is JJ's best position. But under Enzo, when we did drop down to the championship, Duck, he didn't stand out, mate, if I'm honest.
No, but I think that's because he wasn't playing to his strength, right? I think he's one of our more offensive fullbacks as well. And when he was playing left back, he was just passing the ball in, playing as an inverted fullback. So I think that's the issue for him because he's okay offensively, like he's better offensively. But when you have a manager who likes to have one fullback really just do whatever they want, you look at the most technical player we have in that defense, and that's Ricardo Pereira by a mile, right? So he's the one who gets all the creative freedom. And that means James Justin, and I think that would happen again this season, likely has to play the boring role of staying a bit more behind and playing cleanup, where Ricardo would then be the one expressing himself, getting maybe around 7 goals and 10 assists throughout the season.
And this is true. I don't know if you saw the Kyle Walker-Peters stuff. Did you see that yesterday? What happened?
Yeah, apparently he didn't end up going to Besiktas. He ended up in...
They released a statement. Besiktas released a statement saying...
They did? I thought it was just rumors.
Mate, Besiktas released a statement saying that they had an agreement with Kyle Walker-Peters, and Kyle Walker-Peters has basically stalled for a long time, so they've just sacked it off. So maybe that's why they've turned their attention to James Justin. But James Justin just doesn't strike me as a player who would want to go and play in Turkey anyway, to be honest. There's an interesting comment here. I don't know if it's true, mate, by the way, but apparently Kelechi Iheanacho is joining Pumas. That's the Mexican team, right?
Yeah, I think maybe he wants to get his career back on track there. I think maybe he's done in the English game, right? And didn't do much in Spain either. So why not try your luck abroad?
Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything of that. Iheanacho. Yeah, Kelechi Iheanacho is closing in on a surprise move to Liga MX side, Pumas.
Aaron Ramsey went over to Liga MS. That was Pumas as well, right?
Wow, really?
Yeah, Aaron Ramsey. Crazy things. Not much crazy going on at Leicester, though. Not much happening.
No, well, it's a good thing you said that, because this just takes me to my last little thing here. And this is it at the moment, Duck. This is it. This is all we have to work with. Vardy out on a free, Danny Ward out on a free, Daniel Everson out on a free, Henry Cartwright out on loan. Not much happening so far. I mean, we took so long to look at the manager situation, Doc. We waited so long for that to be fixed, and now we finally have the manager in place. The attention obviously will be turned to the transfer market, but I think, Doc, it's pretty much a given that we are going to be 1, 2, 3 games into the season before transfer stuff really starts to heat.
If you look at how Burnley started last season, the championship, their squad, like if you look at the end of the window and their first game, half of the players had left the club. And I do think there's a good chance of that happening here. With the amount of rumor increase and, reliable articles coming out about the plans and such, now that the manager is in, it sounds like the club is getting to work, which is nice. Way too late, like unacceptably too late, but at the very least, better late than never, right? And yeah, we'll see what happens. I do very much like this sell to buy approach because we need to trim some of the fat off the squad. Get some of the players who we know their future doesn't lie here off the book before you just add bloat to the squad. Especially because, and I'm hearing every Leicester fan say this, we want the youth to play a role. So yeah, I'd rather see us sell 5 players, only bring in 1 striker, and then give it a go.
Chester says, so as it stands, looks like Bilal is staying for now. If we get a Coley Mads fast and a couple others for small fees, we look set. I mean, the thing is, Duck, I can't remember who said it yesterday. It might have been Ross or it might have been you. I can't remember who said it, but we're probably going to, we could have Bilal for the first game of the season against Sheffield Wednesday. Although if he is in the midst of a transfer saga, he'll probably be dropped, right? He probably won't play because they don't want him to get injured or anything like that.
It depends how close he is to leave, right?
Yeah.
If there's an imminent transfer, he won't be playing. But if I think Ross brought it up with Southampton. What's his name again? The midfielder, Ward-Prowse. He did play the first game, and then
Nathan Teller.
Nathan Teller,
Leverkusen. Yeah.
Oh, he went to Leverkusen. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nathan Taylor. Nathan Taylor actually played the first game and scored the winning goal against Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, and then he left. So
I mean, Gus Hammer as well for Coventry, right? When we played them before he then left to Sheffield United.
But this is what annoys me, right? Because I think you start to get in a dangerous territory. I don't know. When we were relegated, we had the manager done very quickly. We had most of our transfer business done very quickly. Southampton and Leeds were the 2 teams that actually had shit going on past the start of the season until deadline day. And I think that cost them. I do think that cost them. I mean, you saw Leeds have a very inconsistent start. Southampton didn't go up. I just don't want us to be in that situation where we've still got a squad that isn't settled by the end of the window, which is the end of August, 4 games in.
Yeah, I mean, of course we are behind. There is no doubt about it. We had a head start, didn't use it, and now we are left to the wayside. Luckily, though, it does sound like the manager we've gotten in, first of all, is dying to be here and do a good job, and also seems a bit like a workaholic, right? Insane in football, which we liked about Enter Maresca, which so many of us liked in Carlos Coburn, and why we wanted him in, right? So yeah, I don't doubt he's working overtime, and I'm excited to see how much of a part you can see him play in the transfers, because listening to some of his interviews, obviously many managers are still managers, but more and more becoming first-team head coaches and have very little experience with dealing with transfers, right? And one of the things he has said in some of his podcasts has been he has played quite a big part in transfers made when he was in smaller clubs, where obviously the backroom staff is nowhere near as big in Scandinavia, in both clubs in Norway. And Aalborg, he was first team head coach only, but he said he was still playing a part in helping out the sporting director, and then obviously at Hammarby. So I hope he is someone, alongside Glover, is proactively now looking at the targets he wants, finding targets himself, maybe, right? Because he does have that experience negotiating transfers. So hopefully that helps us work a bit quicker, and John Rutkin can get his shit together.
Clemens says, who's going to share their wife now that Danny Ward is gone? There's a comment from Dorker just asking about the Andy King's job. So just to confirm, there you go on screen. This is the staff confirmed by the club. Marty Cifuentes, first team manager. Xavi Khan, assistant manager. Andy King, first team coach. Andrew Hughes, set piece coach. Matt Reeves, head of fitness, and Dr. Simon Morris, head of medicine. So there you go. If that clears it up slightly. And Buemo joining United. Hutchinson probably his replacement. Rivals getting weaker. Yeah.
Just quickly on that Andy King thing, I was listening again to those Aalborg podcasts where he was out with the fan club. Luckily, you do that in Denmark, and sadly, Leicester don't allow us to get Marty Cifuentes on a show. I would expect at the very least. Would be great though. But he talked about, because one of the questions they asked as well was they had a club legend in the backroom staff, and they're like, what are you doing with him? And he instantly, 1 week into the job, said he wouldn't dare touch him because it's so crucial to have someone who knows the clubs, who knows the history, who knows the players. And yeah, he was very thankful he got the chance to work with a club legend because it made landing into a new environment so much easier. And I think he feels very blessed and lucky to have that same situation here with Andy King, who from day one, as we can see in some of those training videos, is clearly helping him, giving him information that he wouldn't have before he joined the club.
And what I would say as well is, you know how we got confirmation of Andy King being at the club in like January or February? Apparently, allegedly, Andy King was actually working with the under-21s the whole season up until him moving to the first team coaching staff. So he has worked with Monga, with Evans, with Page, with Aluko, you know, during the first half of that season when they were popping off in the under-21s. So that, again, is really important because you've got somebody who's coming up with them to the first team. And he's, of course, it's an added bonus that he is a club legend. He knows the club very well and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I totally agree. Right, we are going to end it there. Thanks to everybody that joined us. John Rudkin in the chat says the club dropped a new 6-minute training video.
They
so there
did.
we go. Everyone can go and watch that now. Last couple comments here. Having Xavi at the club should give Skip some inspiration. And Bobby D could overread an outside chance of being the striker. I hope not. Okay, cheers, Doc. We're going to be live again tomorrow at 5:15 for the watch along. So it's Leicester versus Doc.
On my birthday as well, man.
Do you know the name of that? Do you know how to say that team?
Salah Egersege.
Wow, good job. So we'll be live at 5:15 for that one. It will be interesting. Marty's first game in charge, so we'll see what differences there are to the first two games. I mean, somebody's telling me to give it a go. I'll try. I'm going to say it like Zalegazegi. No, I'm not going to do that ever again. Anyway, we'll be back at 5:15 tomorrow. I hope Doc has a good birthday tomorrow.
I'm turning 22, lads. Woohoo! Hopefully we win on my birthday. If Cifuentes drops a stinker on my birthday, you know, it's going to be a bad day.
Plays Bobby Reed and Jordan.
Imagine.
Right. Cheers, Doc. Cheers all. See you very soon. Bye-bye.